Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you guys have been well. Today's topic, we're going to talk about how I managed to pay my Australian school fees. It's well known that when coming to Australia, you need to pay for one semester school fees, and therefore the other school fees, the recurrent school fees, you have to find a way to pay for it. Either your family member or your family will pay for you, or yourself. So in my case, I was the one supposed to pay for my school fees because there was no hope back at home. Like I knew very well when I was coming that there was no more money remaining. Sorry. So I knew I had to hustle. I knew I had to work and work. So when I came here, I had that in mind because as I shared in my in my other video, I said that when coming to Australia, I used to talk to friends who lived in Australia, and so they were telling me how life is in Australia, and they were telling me I need to work hard. I need to raise my school fees because most of the people who come here, I mean, majority of the people, um, they don't have any other support from home. Some get support, maybe the family send them few dollars here and there, maybe to pay for rent, maybe your groceries, and few expenses. But for me, in my case, I knew I would get nothing. Literally, I knew I would get, there's nothing I would get. So I knew when I was coming, I had that in mind that I have to work extra hard, whatever it takes. I had to really work. So so what happens in Australia normally when you come in as a student visa? So when you sign the declaration, okay, or when you apply for the visa, it comes with conditions, and one of the conditions is as a student, you have to work for 40 hours a fortnight. That is 20 hours each week. So 20 hours each week tends to be very, very few hours, considering that the school fees is quite pricey. So, for example, in my case, I had to pay 17,000 Australian dollars for a whole semester. That meant, or that meant that since the day I came, because my first semester was paid for by my parents from Africa, and I knew the second semester I had to pay for myself. So the second semester was 17,000 Australian dollars, which I was supposed to raise. So I really got I remember my first job was as a cleaner. I was cleaning, I got this job, and it was just miraculously I applied. I had no experience. I never worked as a cleaner, just the normal cleaning in our homes. But sometimes you get commercial cleaning, which, like in my case, I was meant to clean in a school. So I was cleaning the classrooms, the washrooms, the offices, yeah, there was music rooms, and the rooms used to be so huge. And I was not used to that kind of cleaning. I was just used to the home cleaning, which is not that hard. So to be sincere, it was a bit hard for me, but I kept on going. I kept on going because I knew I had no otherwise. I had to really work. So I worked for a few months actually, but I didn't work for long because what happened actually, I was working with some people that, okay, let me say this. I was the only young person there. I was my co-workers, we were around 5 people, and all my co-workers were older, like they were 45 and above, or 50. So I was the only young person there, and my co-workers had an experience. They had been working as cleaners for quite a long time, and myself, I was young, but I wasn't so good in cleaning because here you have to use a vacuum cleaner. There's chemicals mixing up, and I didn't know that. Well, I'm from Africa. We didn't use such chemicals. So because you find there's a chemical for cleaning the windows, there's a chemical for cleaning the toilets, there's a different chemical for cleaning the surfaces like the kitchen tops or the bench tops. There's all sorts of different things. There's different chemical for cleaning the floors. So it was so challenging for me because it was in a new environment. And the worst thing that happened is that my co-workers were not lenient. They didn't understand that I had I, had- I had not done such a job. So they actually so one day they called my boss. My boss was so nice, but then they called him, and I was just in the city. I remember I'd gotten a new job as a in which was working in an aged care. So I had just come out from my other employer to sign the documents, and I had my new uniform. I was meant to start my new job like the following day. So I'm just from my other employer. I get a call. No, I didn't. I got a missed call, and I was like, oh, why is my boss calling me? Then I checked. When I went to call him, I got a text. He sent me a text, and he said the other workers, sorry, he said, sorry, the other workers said that they don't need you there. And that was so traumatizing. I felt so bad. But anyway, I thanked God because I had gotten a new job, and then the other one went like that. So that was okay. So back to the topic, how I managed to pay my school fees. So this is so when I got my second job as an aged care worker, that is looking after the aged people, I really worked hard. I really worked hard. So at times, you have in Australia you're allowed to have 2 or 3 jobs, and you're supposed to have to only work for 20 hours or 40 hours a fortnight. And sometimes people tend to go overboard, but then it is very illegal for you to work more than the legal hours. Um, so every little penny I got, trust you me, I used to pay for my school fees, and then I would remain. And I didn't have it. Sometimes I wouldn't. I didn't have anything to pay for my petrol. I didn't have anything to buy food, and I would start borrowing people money. Well, let's say I was very cautious. I didn't want to get my COE cancelled, because if you don't pay for your school fees, that means you're not capable of staying in Australia, because you're in Australia to study. If you can't pay your school fees, that means you're not supposed to be in Australia if you can't pay your school fees. And remember, in my other video, I mentioned that for you to be admitted in an Australia university, most times they ask you for a bank statement. That is to show that your family or yourself, or mostly your family, is able to pay for your school fees and your living expenses. So you provide the financial documents, and then you're not able to pay for the school fees. So it shows that you are maybe lying. And so for myself, I really worked hard. Oh my God. So every penny I got, I used to pay for my school fees. Every I remember even if I got like $100, I would pay my school fees. I never so my school had this portal whereby you would even pay for $5 school fees. So every time I got something, I would just pay for my school fees. And it really worked for me. Um so for Yeah, so as I was saying, um, I really worked hard. And one thing, for anyone who is planning to come to Australia, one thing I would advise: when you come to Australia, do not pick and choose what you want to do. because usually people are very educated in their schools, people have in their countries, sorry, people have good jobs, and what people expect when they come to Australia is to remain in the like to remain in the same standard. If you are working in an office job, you expect to come to Australia and land a job in an office immediately. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. I think the 99% of people who come from Africa or any other country, in that case, when you come to Australia, things are not what you expect. You would expect to be in a flashy job, live a very flashy life, but it doesn't work like that. So most people will start very, very low. You have to start as a cleaner. You have to, there's lots of jobs. I'm going to do another video and specify and maybe mention a few of the jobs that one might consider applying for when you're very new in Australia. Some jobs will require maybe a certificate, a very short certificate, maybe for a month or two. Some will only require for a police clearance. Some will require experience, some will not require experience. And so it's a good start to just get to learn into any job, as long as it's a legal job. Just get yourself a job. You can even work in a hotel, in a supermarket as a retailer. You can even work in a gas station. As long as you're getting $1, that is what matters. And then later in life, you can get yourself a better job. Then going back, something else that really worked for me is I ensured that I got a second-hand car quite early. Well, I got friends who really supported me. I had friends, I had strangers who became friends and they became family, and they really supported me. And I'm going to make another video on that, because something else that really you should consider is where you're coming to stay or who you're coming to stay with, because that will really, really influence or maybe shape your stay in Australia. Anyway, so I got a car which was a second hand, and that car really helped me. Well, my first car was not so good, so I went back to the same person who sold me the car, and he exchanged for me. I wasn't so good in driving. So another thing, when coming to Australia, make sure you know how you have the skills to drive. I was able to drive a little bit, but then the rules, the road, the traffic rules in Australia might not be the same as maybe your country. And in this case, the rules in Australia are not the same as my country, which is Kenya. So when I came in Australia, I had to get someone, friends, to show me the rules around the road, because the roads here are quite modern. They are quite there's no people people follow the traffic rules. So it was so important for me to get that training. Well, I won't call it training, but I'll say get someone to show me around and tell me you're supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that, and not supposed to do the other thing. Yeah, so yeah, so it is very important when you get a job and you have a car, it becomes very reliable. So that means you can hop from one job to another, and that will help in paying your school fees. Because remember, we are here for school, for those who are coming on a student visa. So if you don't do what brought you here, trust you me, the immigration is going to take you back to your country. You have to go to school, you have to attend school, and as much as you're going to school, you need school fees, so you need to go to work. So people might not understand that you really need to work hard. If you're not working hard back in your country, you really need to work hard here. This is a country of milk and honey, so to speak, but the milk and honey, you have to work for it. There is nothing that comes free here, and you really have to work extra hard. You do night shifts, you come from night shift, you go for morning, you do night shift, you go to school. I mean, you're just all over the place, you're busy, and which is good, but at the same time you tend to miss out on social events, meeting up with people. But then the good thing, and one thing I believe, is this, that while you're a student, just concentrate on being a student. And when you finish, you'll be able to go on parties, you'll be able to go on meetups and all such kind of stuff. But when you're a student, just do whatever brought you here. Otherwise, the immigration might catch up with you. Another thing I would say is you need to, another thing is, so during school holidays, the immigration or the government allows you to work full time. That is 76 hours in a fortnight, and 38 hours in a week, which is so good. That means I would I would really work during my school holidays or during my semester breaks. I would really work extra hard, do double shifts in a day, so that I could save up for my school fees. And I really did this. Normally, for me, the school breaks were around maybe 2 months, and for those 2 months or 3 months, I really worked hard, and I was able to pay for my school fees. And then something else to put into consideration is when you're coming to Australia, it's advisable to choose an affordable school, or rather maybe choose a college which is a bit affordable, because if you choose a very expensive school and you don't have anyone to support you, maybe from back from your country or your family, sorry, it is going to be very hard for you. It is going to take a lot of sacrifice for you to be able to raise the school fees, and maybe sometimes you may not be able even to raise the whole school fees. So it is very advisable when you're trying to move to Australia. Try and talk to your agent, apply into different schools, even do a research. I remember when I was coming to Australia, I had a list of schools. I went online and I went and checked all the school fees of different schools, so that I would know which one is cost effective, which is cheaper, which is would save me on few dollars. And so yeah, it is very advisable to do that. Then something else is to consider is the cost of living. The cost of living in Australia, apparently Australia tends to be one of the most expensive countries to live in. But on the other hand, the good thing is that you cannot stay without a job. That means you get money, you work hard, you get money to pay your bills. So here the rent tends to be a bit pricey. uh, Getting an apartment to rent is expensive. The cost of living, the groceries, they are quite expensive. But the good thing is that the money you get, it is quite, you can still live a good life and still save up some money for yourself, as long as you work hard, as I said before. Yeah, so yeah, as a student you can still you have to cut on your costs for you to be able to save up for your school fees. So that is exactly what I did. And the funniest thing is this: I usually tell my friends that or I tell people, different people who I talk to, and I tell them that when I was a student, for a whole good year, I never bought anything for myself, like even a cloth, anything. I never bought anything for myself. I just bought I just paid school fees, or bought food, or bought fuel. That's the only thing I did with my money, because it was not enough for me to even buy new clothes or go for shopping. In fact, I never knew the shops, like I never knew the any stores that sells clothes. I never, because I didn't have that money to go to the stores. So but it was a good sacrifice. I can't regret, and I'll never regret. I'm happy that I did that. I did sacrifice then, and now I can wear whatever I want. Thank God. Yeah. So I would advise anyone, just sacrifice. It won't take you long, maybe a year or two or three, and it will be worth the sacrifice. It will be worth. Um, and another thing that really helped me was I utilized the weekends. The weekends in Australia, you tend to be paid double the normal weekday salary. So I really worked on, I used to pick shifts on weekends, Saturday, Sunday. and then I used to try and do some overtime. I would stay and tell maybe my employer I'm happy to stay overtime, and if you work overtime, you get paid more. And also on public holidays like Christmas, I would sacrifice and work on those holidays. Whatever holiday was on, I would gladly work on those holidays, because on holidays you also paid more, you get paid more than even the weekends. So that really helped, that really came in handy. Yeah, so thank you very much guys for listening to me. I'm going to see you on the next one. Bye.